Jamunatira Vanachari Jamunatira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Jaya Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Prabhupada Gaur Premanande, Jai Vishnupad Paramahamsa, Practicality, His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta, Swami Śrīmad Bhāgavatam ki Jai, Srila Prabhupada ki Jai, Nitila Jai Vishnupad Paramahamsa, Practicality, His Divine Grace, Srila Bhaktivedanta Goswami Śrīmad Prabhupada ki Jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnavrinda ki Jai, Grantara Śrīmad Bhāgavatam ki Jai, Nitai Gaur Premanande. All glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees. Glories to Sri Guru, Sri Gauranga, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Reading from Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, Canto 9, Chapter 6, Text 3. Ete Kshetra Prasutavai Ete Kshetra Prasutavai Punastvangairasha Smitaha Punastvangirasa Smitaha Ratitaranam Pravaraha Ratitaranam Pravaraha Shetropeta Dijatayaha Shetropeta Dijatayaha Ete Kshetra Prasutavai Punastvangirasa Smitaha Ratitaranam Pravaraha Kshetrapeta Dijatayaha Ete Kshetra Prasutavai Punastvangirasa Smitaha Ratitaranam Pravaraha Kshetropeta Dijatayaha. Okay. Ete, the sons begotten by Angira. Kshetra Prashutaha became the children of Ratitara and belonged to his family. Because they were born from the womb of his wife. Vai, indeed, Punaha, again, to, but, Angirasha, of the dynasty of Angira, Smitaha, they were called, Ratitaranam, of all the sons of Ratitara, Pravaraha, the chief, Kshetra Upayata, because of being born of the Kshatriya field. The Jataha, called Brahmana, being a mixture of the Brahmana and Kshatriya. Translation. Having born from the womb of Ratitara's wife, all these sons were known as the dynasty of Ratitara. But because they were born from the semen of Angira, they were also known as the dynasty of Angira. Among all the progeny of Ratitara, these sons were the most prominent because, owing to their birth, they were considered Brahmanas. Short purport. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur gives the meaning of Dija Jatayaha as mixed caste, indicating a mixture of Brahmanas and Kshatriya. I'm going to read the next verse. Shrutavastu manus jagge Ikshakur grahanamataha shutaha tasya putra shata jesta vikukshi nimi dandakaha. The sons of Manu was Ikshaku. When Manu was sneezing, Ikshaku was born from the Manu's nostril. King Ikshaku had 100 sons, of whom Vikukshi, Nimi and Dandaka were the most prominent. Purport. According to Sridhar Swami, although the Bhagavatam 9:1-11-12 has previously included Ikshaku among the 10 sons begotten by Manu in his wife Shraddha, this was a generalization. It is here specifically explained that Ikshaku was born simply from the sneezing of Manu. Just going to read. Having been born from the womb of Ratitara's wife, all these sons were known as the dynasty of Ratitara. But because they were born from the semen of Angira, they were also known as the dynasty of Angira. Among all these progeny of Ratitara, these sons were the most prominent because, owing to their birth, they were considered brahmanas. Speak a little bit of whatever I know. This is the system of in the Bhagavatam, that the how the birth takes place is not ordinary like ordinary human being. These are explained in the Bhagavatam. So this is like it's mentioned here, that even the sages, they could give birth by sneezing. For an ordinary people to understand this, it's not, especially in this age, these things doesn't happen. But for us to understand this, it's very mystical if someone can actually do that in this age. First of all, we have to understand these things are happening from great sages and different ages, when people, they were born and, just by sneezing. And even today, if you think in a mystical way, not very long ago, people give birth that not ordinary. Like even 5,000 years ago, when Draupadi was born, she came out of the fire. And we know from other places in the Bhagavatam that the sages, they would give some sweet rice to their wife, and they would give birth even without actually intercourse. And they would be automatically pregnant by having this mystical sweet rice given by the sages. So similarly, this is not an ordinary thing that we know, and it's a common thing in the Bhagavatam. That's why it's mentioned in the other ages. These things are not possible in this age, to simply give birth by sneezing. But this was possible in those age because Satya Yuga, Treta Yuga, other yugas, people were very pious. What to speak of the sages? Of course, there's always good and bad, but especially giving birth in a mystical way, it is, for us it's impossible to comprehend that this was taking place in those ages. And that's one thing. Another thing is that our position in this age is far beyond, like those age. In Kali Yuga, we simply practice simple processes, and even by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, that process is the Bhakti Yoga process of chanting. And even in these days, there are magic, very mystical things can take place if we follow that process. And just like Srila Prabhupada, he converted so many great devotees from very lower background, because that's also a mystic power. It's not simply giving birth by mystic yogic siddhi, but if you can actually transform someone who is from lower background, who doesn't have spiritual understanding, to uplift them from ignorance, is even higher than simply giving birth from nostril. This is my understanding. So we think so many things that happened in the previous yugas, but mystical things even can take place even right now. Even by a great devotees, they have the power to be able to create that mysticism even in this age. That's why Prabhupada used to say purity is the force. And even people who saw Prabhupada long time ago, they could see that this person, he has the power to transform the world. They could see that. But not everyone has that power. And even right now, even amongst us, I feel that we can, if we can remain pure, we can produce that mysticism from amongst our own devotees, if we can remain pure. That's why Prabhupada said you have to follow the 4 principles. That means even ordinary people, they can rise to very highest platform of be able to do things that ordinary people can do, even in this age. That's why Srila Prabhupada used to say, even dog can chant Hare Krishna. So this is the system of the Ikshaku and the Manus in different. They are created by Krishna to, procreate, and in this universe. So procreation, even today, they want to change how to give birth in a modern way, like they're playing around with the womb in an artificial way. But the system is already given by Krishna. If we follow that system, everything is perfect. But because we have the tendency to play around with nature, and that can be a lot of complications. Just like there's one devotee who had 4 girls, and he wanted a son. So he was desperate to have a son because he had 4 girls. So the 5th one, the Mataji was pregnant with the 5th one. They didn't know whether it was a male or female. So they got a specialist, a Brahmana, to make sure that it's not girl this time. But because they actually prayed to Krishna and did the puja in the temple, and even then they were not sure if it's going to be a boy or a girl, because they want to make sure the 5th one is a boy. So they got the Brahmana and did all the ceremonial procedures. And then actually, that was the 5th one, was actually a boy. But with all the mantras and all that thing, the Brahmana did change the sex into a female. So sometimes what I'm saying is that we become overly intelligent, and that we want to change things that what Krishna gave us. His principles is already perfect, but because we are mixing with our intelligence and think that we are better than Krishna, the system that he gave us, and it become messy and complicated. Because the system that Krishna gave us is already perfect. That's why it is mentioned, complete and perfect. But because we're human beings, we have that tendency to make new things, humanly creation. Then it becomes troublesome. So this is why I said this example of this Mataji had 5 girls, and the 5th one is because they prayed to Krishna. It was already a boy, but they were mucking around with some mantra and turned a boy into a girl. But if we are sincere enough and pray to Krishna, this is my understanding, is that Krishna is there and He is present in all of us. And He is there also in the temple, in the deity form. So if we pray to Him, we can also get what we want, even material things, if we pray to Krishna. Simply having a child, simply having progeny after progeny, it's not spiritual if they cannot become spiritualists or Krishna conscious. So, even if we don't have progeny, it's not that we tax our head and want to fulfill our desire, material things. That is not necessary ultimately, because it is up to Krishna. Sometimes there is miscarriage or some complications that they don't have children or another. But I feel that as a devotee of Krishna, we should understand that ultimately it is the will of Krishna that things turn out in that way. But of course, at the same time, like I said, if we pray to Krishna, He will also fulfill our desire. But then we shouldn't insist, Krishna, please help us, please, I want this child. And sometimes we have to go along with what Krishna wants. It's not that we all ask Krishna, please, I want this child, I want this girl, and that is like botheration to Krishna. Be happy what Krishna gave us. And sometimes you see Mataji may be pregnant and they want to know what type of person in the womb. They do the X-ray and they want to know, and so they can prepare for their birth. That is all okay, but then we shouldn't get carried away that what is coming. So sometimes I've asked some of the devotees, they said, no, we don't do anything like that. We're happy what Krishna gives us. But either way is good. We should know what's coming so that we be better prepared. So, but at the same time, it is not bad to pray to Krishna and know what's coming. So my point is that a surrendered devotee, they simply depend on Krishna for anything, what to speak, even if one may be creating or in the process of progeny, or we should know that everything ultimately is up to Krishna. Sometimes, just like marriage, a boy or a girl, they may be already old enough, they're reaching their marriage point, and they don't find the individual. So it can become a very difficult for parents or even for the boy or the girl. They get very disturbed and anxiety. What's going to happen? But like I said, ultimately up to Krishna. But at the same time, we need to also make research. But if it doesn't happen, it's not that we can become too much an anxiety and it will hurt us. It's not that if you live a life without marriage, the women didn't get married or a boy didn't get married, whatever happens, you still survive. You still be able to survive, isn't it? Okay, you didn't leave a progeny, you didn't leave a lineage, but so what? Even if we have a lineage, that you leave behind. If they're not going to be spiritual devotees of Krishna, cats and dogs also have a lineage. What is the point behind having a dynasty? In the strict point of view, of a Krishna conscious point of view, you have a dynasty that's going to make a havoc in the material world. They are not in connection to Krishna. What is the point of having that kind of a dynasty? You know what I mean? So everything that we do, we must understand in connection to spiritual life. Are we going to actually connect ourselves with Krishna? This is very important for us to understand that our children, our daughters, and ourselves that become Krishna conscious, that whatever we produce, the production, the fruits of our work has to be offered to Krishna. Whatever comes out of us, what we produce, children, they have to be Krishna conscious. Isn't it? Otherwise, like I said, dynasty. What kind of dynasty are you going to leave behind? If that's what Arjuna said in the Bhagavad Gita, that's known as Varna Shankara. Simply fill it up the world with unwanted population, that's going to create disturbance to the earth. So to understand the underlying principle of having the ashram that we live in, each ashram has its particular responsibility. As a brahmachari, as a grihastha, as a sannyasi, we all have our responsibilities, and that responsibility has to be connected to Krishna. Not you have a particular ashram just for that, so you can be satisfied with it. But these ashrams are raised from one platform to the other, and ultimately the sannyas. So, as a brahmachari or as a grihastha, we're preparing for the ultimate ashram, the sannyas ashram. But doesn't mean only the sannyasis go back to Godhead. Even if you're a brahmachari, you can also go back to Godhead. If you're a grihastha, you can go back to Godhead. But you have to fulfill the needs of that particular ashram to be Krishna conscious, whatever platform you're on. Different platform. But this simply means different platform of Krishna consciousness. Doesn't mean one is higher than the other. Of course, there is a system that we have to follow, the sannyas, that's the highest standard. But doesn't mean other ashram is let down. All the ashrams are good if you are connecting with Krishna. You simply change your ashram for a different reason, for a material reason, that's not going to produce any Krishna consciousness, that ashram is material, if it is not spiritually. If it is material, then everybody wants to have that ashram, because if I am sannyasi, then I can have a better life or better facility. It will become mundane. So you have to fulfill the needs of particular ashram. So if you are a grihastha, then you have a husband, a wife, and children. Then you go all day Hare Krishna, go Hare Nam every day. What about who's going to take care of the wife? So that's practicality. And then your wife will run away because you're not taking care of her. We've seen this. So every ashram has its needs. But the point is, whatever we do, we don't become attached to it. Attachment is what binds us in this world, the attachment. The sense enjoyment platform. There is no sense enjoyment in any ashram. if you think about it, actually each ashram, that particular reason for being in that ashram is to uplift us in spiritual life. The first ashram is brahmachari. It's a very strict life. If you read the brahmachari life, it's very tough. But that's required to be uplift for the next ashram. So if you're a grihastha after 25, or before or after, means you had that training in the early ages of your life. So when he's finally become grihastha, you know what the standards are in spiritual life. He had the good training. So when you're finally grihastha, then you know there's detachment in it. It's not that you are a gross sense enjoyer, isn't it? You have to have respect for each other. It's not that she's for you to enjoy or he's for, no. There's so much work in it. They didn't even have time to chant Hare Krishna because they're so busy. They're taking it for, especially this day and age. So there's so much hardship that on top of your grihastha life, on top of it, you also need to fulfill the needs of spiritual needs, the chanting japa, attending program, associate devotees, offering food to Krishna, having the deities at home. So if you're not just a gross enjoyer, like Griha Medi, that's going to fall apart after a while. Because if you take the spiritual life away from material things, it's Griha Medi. According to Bhagavatam, Grihastha means one who is properly situated in spiritual life. It's not that, oh, your downfall. Some of the greatest devotees are Grihasthas. Because they had that training as a brahmachari. And then finally you don't stick to grihastha life and when you're turning 50, and then you work towards that spiritual life. Because the purpose of human life is to come to the spiritual life from beginning. But because we have material desire, people want to have a family, then you have it. But the point is, in the midst of that, you have to emphasize Krishna consciousness. Just like we have everything here, deity worship, we have the Guru Puja, we have Mangalarati, Bhagavatam class, chanting japa, we offer so much, all based on serving Krishna. Suppose we stop all this, or you just have it just for fun. No, then it becomes material, even deity worship. Like they have in India, Durga Puja. They worship beautiful forms of demigods. And at the end, Visarjan. They throw them in the ocean, in the water. They take all the deities, they dump them in the water. I could never really understand that, how, so much worship, and they make these beautiful forms of Durga and Ganesh, and put them on the altar and worship for 4 or 5 days. And then after they have a Visarjan, they take them and then throw them in the water. But there must be some system, but it doesn't really make sense to me. So if we can really understand what we do underneath of what we do, then there will be more meaningful of spiritual life, and then we will become more serious. But if you're simply doing it on the surface, we will not become serious in spiritual life. We are just doing it for the sake of doing it. Then we will not understand why we're doing it. It's not that we are here to simply produce children after children. I know one person here in Melbourne has 14 children. 14. So it's not like Satya Yuga only they had so many. Even now they have a lot. But the idea is to make them Krishna conscious. If you make 14 children Krishna conscious, you can start a Gurukul. Isn't it? We worried we don't have enough people in the school. Some people have so many, they can start their own school. But that's the point. If we cannot make them Krishna conscious, what's the difference? Fish can give 1,000 eggs at one go. Isn't it? So Prabhupada used to say, if I can produce one disciple, it's going to be like a moon. It can light up all the stars. You can have so many stars. What's the use? You can't count the stars. I remember we used to see the stars in the sky. Some places a very clear sky, you can see all the stars. And they have the Sapta Rishi, 7 stars. You can see they're very clear. There's so many different stars. But Prabhupada used to say, one disciple, like a moon, can light up the sky. So if you can produce one person who can make the world Krishna conscious, that's what is wanted. We want that kind of children. So if we have so many kids, children, if they all become Krishna conscious, then he can, like mass production, if you can make them all Krishna conscious, then Krishna consciousness is going to explode, double, triple. Like we have this one Mataji here, Mahalakshmi Mataji. She's one of the, like a avatar for book distribution. You can stop a person on the side of the road and sell a book at the red light to the driver. That's not ordinary. You know, I know all our temples filled with Indian women, full of Indian women, Indian men. How many Indian women can stop a person in the red light and sell a book? This is very unique personality. Some say, oh, she was a salesperson. I know a lot of people are a salesperson. They can't stop a person on the red light and distribute a book. This is very unique. So what I'm saying is, even today in our own community, we have special devotees. They have to have respect for each other. It's not that I sneeze and then you are born from my sneeze, like it says here. That's in Satya Yuga. You can normally born, that's okay, if you can be a devotee of Krishna. That is most important. If someone is born from my ear, that's karna. Karna, that's why he's born from the ear. So you're not born from a ear or nose. Doesn't mean you're bad. Wherever you're born from, if you could be Krishna conscious, that's what's most important thing, isn't it? Okay, suppose you're born from the ear, but you're number one rascal. Well, so what? You're born from the ear. The point is that we have to be Krishna conscious while we're here. I simply have a big production line. That's going to, according to Krishna and Arjuna and the Bhagavatam, in the Bhagavad Gita, it's simply unwanted population, Varna Shankara. So we go to Gurukul to train ourselves to be Krishna conscious. But if you go to Gurukul, you come out a number one rascal. What's the point of going to Gurukul? The most important thing is train your parents to be Krishna conscious, so they can train the children to be Krishna conscious. It starts at home, isn't it? So the idea is not that we become attached. You can have as many you want. You can have a good family, but you have to implement Krishna consciousness within it. Without Krishna consciousness, that is Griyamedi. I know a lot of people's home, I've been to Indian people, there's not one picture of Krishna on the wall. Furniture after furniture, and they have their parents' picture on the wall, father, mother, that's okay. But there's not one picture of Krishna or Prabhupada. This is why we go to their home to show them, have an altar like this, a system where they can start worshipping Krishna. So everything we do, if there is no detachment in it, we become attached to it. That's what binds us in the material world. Even if you're a brahmachari or a grihastha or a sannyasi, you simply attach to the position you have, that becomes material. That the ashram you're in, you know this ashram is, I can serve Krishna better. I'm free from responsibility, so I can serve Krishna. I don't have to worry about children or wife. I mean, I'm a sannyasi, I'm a single man, I travel and preach. If if that's your motive, to preach Krishna consciousness, if you want to deliver spiritual life to others, then it's entirely spiritual, it's wonderful. But if your motive that you have that particular ashram, if your motive is simply for sense enjoyment, that's going to bind us in the material world. So wherever we are, grihe tako, bone tako, sada Hare bole tako, wherever you are, you're in a grihastha family, bone tako, we're in a forest, sada Hare bole tako. Practice Krishna consciousness, chant Krishna's name, preach Krishna consciousness. Prabhupada used to say, you take sannyas, you get married, you remain brahmachari. Because Prabhupada knew they would be better in their ashram. He knew. This person is going to be good grihastha, and he can be Krishna conscious in it. This person is not going to be good as a grihastha. You remain brahmachari because you're going to be good at it. So he engaged us accordingly so we can be Krishna conscious. We can preach Krishna consciousness. Because simply be Krishna conscious yourself is not good enough. Us in ISKCON, our business is to spread Krishna consciousness. Spread. Not simply you Krishna conscious, that's fine. That's what they do in Gaudiya Math. All day chanting, Jitranamita, bus. You go to ISKCON, so dynamic. There's so much happening. This ISKCON is full of variety. It's so dynamic. It's not simply you have your own family, a little family, and you're happy in it. But there's an expansion of Krishna consciousness. It's full of dynamic. That's why Prabhupada said, okay, you're a grihastha, you're a sannyasi, you're a brahmin, stay in it. Because he knew that they would be good at it. They could expand Krishna consciousness in their ashram in a big way, because they're good at it. So he engaged us accordingly. And some people, they have a family, but they don't have children. They just want to have a company so they can preach. That's fine. Husband and wife, they travel and preach. But if you can remain fixed in Krishna consciousness, whatever ashram you're in, that's going to be a perfect situation in every way. Isn't it? It is not that we just do it because I like it. It pleases me. We are the center. The idea is not simply you. It's we are here to please Krishna. Just like we have some trouble with each other. But you still have to be together. We have to. Suppose I don't like it here, you go away. Other person, I don't like it, you go away. Who's going to be here at the end? We all have to cooperate, work together. And to create that perfect situation. Okay, you have a problem with, then you become good. Work it. So, creation, it's something is not in everyone's pocket that I could just create. I mean, you look at all the children, they come here with the grihasthas. It's very hardship. You look at their faces of grihasthas. Maybe they're putting a show. Underneath, I know them. There's a lot of anxiety. One kid, the expense. You're not living in other yugas. A lot of hardship. I lived in Hong Kong for 5 years. Nobody has kid. There's no time for having a kid. because life is so busy at work. They don't have, and even if we have, it's so expensive. And so the government is asking, they're giving them money to have kids, because otherwise they're going to end up with old people only. But if our system is that Krishna's system is, it's always perfect. Because why people have to work hard anyway? At the end, you're going to leave all this behind. Why work so hard? Some people actually even think like that even today. Why work? Lazy. But you have to work, but you have to work for the right thing. If your work going to cause trouble, then stop working. But our work is, everything we do, and that's what I said, everything we do has to be uplifting spiritually. Just like now we're going to have the 50th anniversary in a few days. And it's just within a month, we got this place all cleared up, painted the building. There's a lot of work behind. I'm sure if we started a little earlier, we would have the whole building painted. But there must be effort. So, sit down, nothing going to happen. There's effort, there must be effort. So if you have children, you want to have a family, fine. But be responsible. After some time, oh Prabhu, I have this problem. Mataji, have this. There's going to be a lot of trouble. So you have to decide for yourself if you want to do the production. Then see for yourself. If you want to stay single and be Krishna conscious, that's perfect. If you can, maintain. But you have to decide that ultimately the purpose of life is to go back to Godhead. And if you have another person, children, then you're responsible to bring them also back to Godhead by making them Krishna conscious. So we're taking more hardship on us. So you got to see these things before you make up your mind. So this chapter, this Bhagavatam, the downfall of Shrubhadri Muni. That's the heading of this chapter. This is a lesson for us that whatever we do, we have to remain fixed, that don't be distracted from what we are meant to do. That's what it means. Even if we have everything materially, we don't need everything to serve Krishna. You need to have more than one car to serve Krishna. Krishna didn't say that. You only need one bead bag, not even two. If you can do nice japa, all you need is one bead bag. If you can do japa, even if you have nice beads, you're not going to be able to do japa. So the idea is to quality japa, isn't it? Some people say, oh, why Krishna have 16,000 wives? You know, I know that half the people that I know, that's divorced. They couldn't take care of even one wife. Krishna has 16,000, there's no divorce. Perfect. He can expand himself. Krishna expanded himself to each wife, and they all are perfectly satisfied. And then still we criticize Krishna. Why he has so many? And Krishna is considered to be brahmachari, actually. Because he is the creator. He created the universe from Vishnu, to the lotus of Mahavishnu. Ultimately, Krishna and the spiritual world. We don't go into that now. It's a very big topic. But if we can produce one person, and don't complain if you can't make them Krishna conscious. Or they go away, you take drugs or this, that. It's your fault. Your fault. Because you got involved in it. We're not perfect creator. Krishna is perfect creator. We create rubbish. That's called putra and mutra. You heard of that before? Putra means son, a good son. Mutra means dirt. This is opposite to a good son. So, sometimes when pure devotees, they take their appearances, they perform their lila. They may act sometimes they may act in a mundane way, but we don't know. We don't know if they're mundane or not. But that just, we have to see what the outcome is at the end. So Srila Prabhupada was born in Calcutta, and he was supporting the Gandhi, the movement. That's all his lila. When he saw Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he gave it up straight away. When all the Americans, they were under that tree, when they were just waiting for Prabhupada to come. When Prabhupada came, they immediately gave it up. They were already very spiritual. They're not ordinary, especially the first batch, because they're not ordinary. Prabhupada said, these boys and girls, Krishna sent them to me. So we have to see how things not take it into our own hand, how Krishna is always behind it, and he intervenes in our Krishna consciousness. If we have the intention to serve Krishna, he will send the right people to us. That's why there's Garbhadan Samskara. Sometimes people in the Garbhadan Samskara, before even conception, they will go to the temple, they'll pray, they give charity, they do all these things. But even so, we don't get the right person that we wanted. Because it's up to Krishna. But at the same time, we also need to have follow the procedure and be Krishna conscious ourselves, and Krishna will help us. And not that I do everything and why Krishna didn't help me. There's also karma involved. Because Krishna can also reduce the karma. But then ultimately, it's going to be up to us. Isn't it? Just like if you want, everybody wants a son or a girl that's going to be perfect. And not diseased, not deformed. This is the main worry sometimes. Very scary what's going to come. That they are in good condition, they're healthy. So these things you have to pray to Krishna. It's not in our hand. Everything is up to Krishna. We are totally dependent on Krishna. We're not independent. In every way, we have to depend on Krishna. In every possible way, we must depend on Krishna, because we are not independent in whatsoever. We get old, we get sick, we get tired, and these things not in our hand. So to pray to Krishna, please give me good health, please Krishna give me a good child, or Krishna please make me conscious of you, control my senses. All these things you have to pray to Krishna. Even though we have to work at it, at the same time there's Krishna also behind. Remember that he will help us. But we have to be, first of all, be sincere. Any questions? Yes.
Hare Krishna. Prabhuji, it is usually said that when we enter the Grihastha ashram, we should have a plan to exit that ashram. We should not stay in the Grihastha ashram forever. We should plan to move to Vanprasth eventually, and eventually to sannyas. So is that understanding correct or not?
Yes. Even if we stay Grihastha till the end, but the idea, the 4 ashrams are there, but the idea is somehow or another you you can give up the grihastha ashram, you stick till the end. That is not bad, but the idea is to, if the husband and wife, you're really old, 80, 90, but still you're attached to each other, but then you practice Krishna consciousness together because you need her to help you to chant Hare Krishna together. That is spiritual. That is as good as sannyasi. That's my kind of understanding. But the point is the ashrams are there. Therefore, not everyone's going to be like that. Some will want to give up and go towards the sannyasa ashram. So that's there. So the option is going to be on you. And at the same time, if somebody has the desire to remain together, that they're attached together, but in a Krishna conscious way, that's as good as sannyas.
All right.
But underneath that detachment has to be there, attachment to Krishna. So you still clinging each other. I've seen people who are at the age of 90, they walk around with high heel shoes, lipstick. You know what I mean? So that's what we don't want. We want people to be Krishna conscious till the end. But we also encourage the sannyas for those who can. So if people are taking sannyas in our movement, just after the age of 50, some of them, they were not even married. But the point is, if someone can have the capacity, has the quality, they aspire to be a sannyasi, that is not discouraged. We encourage that. But someone at the same time who's been married, they have children, it's not a whimsical thing that you can simply just take sannyas. I know one guy, he took off in the middle of the night and he went to India and took sannyas without asking his wife. And then 6 months later, knocking on the door, "Can I come in?" What kind of... So therefore there's a system. If you follow the system, you will not do that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? So it's not a whimsical thing, like I feel better as a sannyasi, you are simply rejecting your responsibility. You have to wait till everybody's gone, married, this, that, then if the situation is favorable, then, of course. Even so, you need to be prepared that you actually detached, that in your heart you are a sannyasi. And then ISKCON also have a rule. It's not just because you want to. You have to follow the system. But someone who is actually qualified as a sannyasi, it's not that you walk around with a stick, you're danda, you're sannyasi. You have to start from the heart. Isn't it? It's not an external thing. You can be a sannyasi as a brahmachari, if you have that character. Of course there's a system. So you have to see things in an underlined way. Samajh gaya?
Yes, thank you, Prabhuji.
Microphone here.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thank you for the nice class. Prabhu, you mentioned if we pray to Krishna for something, He will give it to us. Now my question is, we know that our karma is already preordained by Krishna due to our past life credits. So how will the prayers help? I mean, Krishna knows that what I'll get and what I won't.
Okay, so two things. Even if it's karma, Krishna still allows you to enjoy the fruits. He's still controller of everything, even if it's karma. Karmani nirdahate kintucha bhakti bhajam. It's mentioned, karmani nirdahate kintucha bhakti bhajam. Through bhakti, nirdahate kintu, that through bhakti, devotional service, karma is reduced. Okay, so even if you are implicated in the karma, ultimately it's up to Krishna. He can reduce the karma depending on your behavior. But it's not because karma is ordained, it has nothing to do with Krishna, but Krishna is still controller, even though it's karma, because he has the power to change the karma, not the demigod. Demigod they can give you, but they can't change the karma. So you can ask Krishna, but just like if parents take the children out in the supermarket, and they nag the parents, give me chocolate, give me this, give me that. But the parents know it's not good for her or him. But they nag so much, they end up giving it, just to make them happy. So similarly, Krishna gives what's good for us, especially as devotees. And every devotee has what we need. There is no poor devotees. But even so, we are totally dependent on Krishna. But you can pray to Krishna, He'll give. Why you have to pray to demigod? Even demigod, they're dependent on Krishna. They can independently give what they want to give. They have to have permission from Krishna. So Krishna is ultimately the supplier, even if it's material. Not that we go to Krishna with a list and forget what we actually meant to ask. But we didn't say you can't go to Krishna with a list. But if you want pure bhakti, anya vilasata svanyam, then we have to go to Krishna for pure devotional things. But you can go to Krishna, because people do go to Krishna for material things if they don't have that spiritual understanding. But for devotees, we go to Krishna, because Krishna gives material things automatically anyway. But you can ask Krishna what's going to please Him, how we can increase our love for Him. But material things, don't think that Krishna doesn't know what we need. He knows. But we prioritize what pleases Krishna. We prioritize what pleases Prabhupada. At the same time, Krishna knows deep in our heart material things that we need to serve Him. He will give. You don't need to by the way, I need a car. I know, I have to walk to temple. No. That you have to work on it. He's giving you money, you work for it. He gave the energy to work. So you organize in a way that you save up money, you buy the cars. It's not you have to go to Krishna for it. Ultimately, Krishna is giving. But we go to Him for things that we need to serve Him, to control our senses, to control our mind, to observe Him in His service, increase our devotion to Him, to love Him, we have to pray to Him. Because there's going to be tug-of-war with material things that's going to be on the way that blocks us. For so spiritual things, we have to ask Krishna. He needs His blessing. Like that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Sitam Buddha Sundarangam Kandar Ako Vikamaniya Vishesha Shobha